one of the finest morning men ever to grace the radio waves of America, Sid Rosenberg, with us. How are you, brother?
My man, John Tobacco. How are you, you handsome bastard?
Yeah, well, back at you, my brother. I was just telling the audience about, how my morning routine goes. I get up at 6, I watch Morning Joe for about 5 minutes till I'm about to blow my stack. Then I hop in the car and start running my morning errands, bank, dry cleaner, whatever I got to do, and I put on Bernie and Sid, and that's where you hear some real talk. So thank you for making some time for us plebeians in the liquid lunch community. But what's happening, brother? Tell me some sports stuff. I know you love that sports stuff. I do too. What the freak is going on with this NFL now? Canceling games, moving games, COVID. What is this?
Well, no, the COVID is an issue. Obviously, you talked about it. Canceling games, moving games. We saw a doubleheader last Monday night with the Falcons playing the Packers and also the Patriots taking on the Chiefs. We know the Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers has been postponed for a couple of weeks. So it's certainly played an issue in this season, but it hasn't ruined this season. But I will tell you this. I've been a guy that has been very, very adamant about how I don't like the mixture of politics and sports. I know you have too, John. And really the league that may be most guilty of it is the NBA. We know that, right? Black Lives Matter on the court, guys wearing social reform on the back of their jerseys. Well, make a long story short, the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, who is just as big a liberal, weenie, wussy boy as Manfred is in baseball, Goodell is in football, and Bettman is in hockey. He came out yesterday and said, hey, listen, folks, next season, which is set to start around January 2021. Lakers have a chance to win the championship over Miami tonight. He said, next season, we're going to do away with all that stuff. We're going to go back to the way it used to be. He goes, look, it was a special time in America. We took advantage of it. He thinks our players did the right thing. Yeah. But when next season starts, they're going back to the way it used to be. You know why? Because the ratings are at an all-time low.
And the toilet.
Nobody is watching. Yep, that's right. Nobody's watching. People can't stand LeBron James. He was the NBA sweetheart 5 years ago in Miami and Cleveland. Now people hate his guts. So the truth is, the NBA has done so poorly in the ratings, like you just talked about, that Adam Silver has no choice but to return to the way it was. And I believe, John, that eventually football, baseball, and even to a smaller extent, hockey will be forced to do the same. America has proven we don't want that nonsense mixed in with our sports.
I couldn't agree with you more. I can't even understand for the life of me how these people who run these major league sports, baseball, football, basketball, how they were all suckered in to supporting a movement like Black Lives Matter that is a Marxist organization. They're basically telling 100% of American sports fans, we support Marxists. They're not saying we want to create equality where Black Lives Matter, right? That's the organization is a bad thing. And I think you're right. It hit him where it hurts in the pocketbook. 68% down. The game before the final game in the NBA, all the ratings are down. They're getting crushed. And you know this guy I talk about, Morning Joe. That's how I get my juices flowing. You know this guy Donnie Douche that's on there?
I know Donnie very well. I'll tell you something. In fact, I've shared a dinner or two with Donnie Deutsch down in Boca Raton, Florida. And way back when, people may forget this, Donnie had his own show on, I forget, it was MSNBC or CNN. It was a late-night show, an interview show. And I was a guest of Donnie's many times. That was back in my WFAN Imus days in the early 2000s when Stephanie Jones was producing his show. So, in short, yes, I know Donnie very well. And at one point, I was even friendly with Donnie. By the way, like I was with Joe Scarborough, Mike Barnacle, he was one of our best friends. He was a guy that was on the Imus show all the time. We traveled the country together. He's a guy that got me Boston Red Sox Yankee tickets over the summer in Massachusetts. So a lot of these folks that you're going to mention here, John, 15, 20 years ago, when we were on MSNBC, the Imus show, these people were our friends and they were normal. They were good people. Something has happened over the last decade where they turned into absolute crazy people. But yes, at one point, Donnie Deutsch was actually a friend.
So when my show was airing on Newsmax, there were certain prohibitions I had from using terms and things. So I went to the store and got a Summer's Eve disposable product for women.
Douche.
And exactly, and I plastered Donnie's face on it. And as a sight gag, I would say, you know what I want to say about this guy right now, and I would slam it down on the table. But I think, seriously, all the commissioners we just named deserve the same treatment because they really let down America and the youth of America.
Well, look, they're in a tough spot. I mean, let's face it. The NFL, I think, is like 90% African American. The NBA is like 88% African American. So they're in a tough spot. How are they supposed to tell their players, hey, you can't feel this way, you can't do that? Really, the owners are the ones that have the onus. Don't forget, the commissioner's job, John, is to make money for the owners. That's why Roger Goodell makes $50 million a year to be the commissioner of the National Football League. You know why? Because if he's making $50 million, then owners like Jerry Jones are making millions and millions, if not billions. So that's their job. So the owners need to be careful because most of their players are black. And we know how African-American people feel these days. So they're in a bit of a tough position. But what they have to explain to these guys is, hey, LeBron, you like making $30 million a year? You like
Shut up.
Well, guess what? Exactly. If you continue to promote this organization, and maybe they don't want to use the word Marxist or terrorist because that may, in fact, insult a guy like LeBron. But if you continue to support this organization and do these things, then that $30 million contract could become $15 million overnight.
No doubt about it.
And you'll see how quickly all of a sudden these players will abandon the back of their jerseys and they'll say James, number 23, instead of education reform, number 23.
All right, Sid. Thanks for always joining us, pal. Come back anytime, and I'm listening every day. You guys are killing it on 77 WABC every morning. Bernie and
we
Sid.
appreciate that. Thank you. And we're going to bring you on. You're going to be on next week with us, and we'll talk about the big presidential debate, whether or not it happens. So we look forward to having you on the Bernie and Sid show next week.
I'm going to bring you guys a bombshell. Okay.
Okay.
Have a great weekend, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Sid Rosenberg.
Take care. All right.